Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, Ol'Ed Ed Fries, joined by, well, nobody. I'm joined by the Fight Life logo, because unfortunately, Astrid is, well, no, not unfortunately. Astrid is spending the day with her family in honor of Mama Astrid's birthday. So happy birthday, Mama Astrid. We greatly appreciate you for giving us the wonderful Astrid. So hopefully you have had a wonderful day today. I am here to talk about Fight Life, and in particular, Squared Circle Séance number 4. This show took place from Roboth, Rhode Island, and it was on November 2nd. This is a fun show. I really had a good time. Hello, Melball. Thank you for joining us. I know he's not on the show tonight, but since you're here, Eddie Thorpe. Just since you're here. But no, this was a fun show. It had some names that I knew. It had some names that I didn't know. Ironically, this is a show that I almost went to, but I didn't know where in Rhode Island it was, and I didn't want to have to go find it. See, Rhode Island is that stepchild from New England that we don't talk about and we don't go to. So I've lived in New England for the better part of 35 plus years, because I haven't lived here my entire life. And I've been to Rhode Island once. I have been to Rhode Island one time in my life. And I got a piece of fuzz because I've shaved my head, so now everything gets stuck there. So that's always fun. Yes, Melville does the squeeze. Hello, Bobby Munson. Thank you for joining us. I'm doing well. I'm doing well because I'm here to talk about Squared Circle Séance. And like I said, we've got some fun stuff here. Hey, there she is, celebrating Mama Astrid's birthday. We wish Mama Astrid the best today, as I stated just a few minutes ago. But hello, Miss Astrid. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, let's get started from the beginning. So on commentary, we have a few different people on commentary, but the main people that we have on commentary is Chris Sanders, Zach Levi, and Tony P. Referee extraordinaire Tony P. We've got the Divine Light Gaming. The legend himself is here. Yes, I am indeed here. Much to most people's chagrin, it's me that's here solo and not Astrid. So we'll see what we can do. But no, Chris Saunders and especially Zach Levi and Chris Saunders, that team together had a really good night on commentary. I really, really enjoyed them. And honestly, of the indie shows we've covered, they're probably my second favorite announcing team that we've covered on this program. They don't quite live up to Chris Lay and Big Swole. But then again, as we've said for the last few weeks, it's going to be hard for anybody to live up to them, because of the fact that they are such a fantastic team. But no, these are both people that I follow on Twitter. I really enjoy them. Chris Saunders does a whole bunch of interviews about the business side of wrestling and a whole bunch of other things. So you can go ahead and follow him on Twitter and find him. He does fantastic work, and I really, really like his interviews that I make sure that I give a watch when I get the opportunity. This show had a whole bunch of people. Again, New England shows are great for me because it's people that I mostly know with a handful of talent that I don't. So that is always fun for me. And the first match starts out with a bunch of talent that I don't really know. I've heard of a couple of these guys, but I haven't seen much of them in their in-ring work. And we start with the Trauma Factory taking on Perfect Strangers for the Fight Life Tag Team Championships. This was a bunch of fun. Rip Byson and Mike Gracia make up the Trauma Factory, and Stephen Lust and AJP make up the Perfect Strangers. These are two teams that I didn't know much about. I've heard of both Rip Byson and Stephen Lust before, but the other two gentlemen I hadn't heard before. I liked these kind of mismatchy tag teams. Neither one of these tag teams feel like they're a really coherent, tag team like the Unit, like the Monarchy, the Miracle Generation, all of teams who we're going to see all of these people with in some form or fashion on this show. But I really liked this match. The Perfect Strangers were a fun group, and Byson and Gracia were a strong, powerful mix. Stephen Lust had a fun moment where he was about to be punched by both members of the Trauma Factory, and he managed to go ahead and dip down and avoid both of them, so they punched each other, which was great. I really enjoyed that. I'm going to move my notes over onto a different portion of my screen so that I can read them and look at you all at the same time. And there was a bunch of other fun stuff that happened here, but the finish is really interesting here because it comes with both members of the Trauma Factory going ahead and doing a double chokeslam on AJP. And then Stephen Lust jumps off the top rope into another double chokeslam where he gets double chokeslammed on top of AJP. And then they go ahead and hit the Rip in Piss, which is a modified variation of a magic killer. It's more of like a magic killer into a power bomb type of setup than just a magic killer spin. And the Trauma Factory get the win and new Fight Life Tag Team Championships. It was a fun match. It lasted about as long as it needed to. I didn't think I needed a whole lot more from this. I didn't think I needed a lot less. I was enjoying what I saw, but I didn't need more. It was just, it did what it needed to do. But as a lot of these matches had, there was some post-match shenanigans going on. There's a lot of respect in Fight Life, it seems, because this is my first time watching a full show of theirs. Respect seems to be key in this. And the fun thing about this was AJP understood that, and after losing, he took the tag team championship and handed it to one member of the Trauma Factory, and Lust lost it. He was very angry. He was very upset that his tag team partner would do such a thing. Why would you show this kind of respect? They just beat us. Why would you do this? And he throws the title down on the ground at Bison's feet and walks away. So we're going to have to see what goes on from there, but so far, so good. Yes, it is a solo me tonight, STG. No Miss Astrid. Yes. Boo this man indeed. It was a good opening contest. This crowd is really fun. It's a smaller crowd than we're used to on some of these shows, but that being said, they're loud, they're into it, they're doing a good job. I really enjoy it. Yes, I know you're booing me. That's fine. As long as you keep watching me and boo me, that's all that matters. We're going to move on to match number 2 here, which is Yoscifer taking on Jeremy LaCroix with Roxanne Fury. I have questions about this match. Is Roxanne Fury the daughter or pretending to be the daughter of Brian Fury, who was a legendary name in the Northeast Territory up here? Or is it just, somebody on the thing and that's the name? This match doesn't... I like this match, but I didn't like it as much as I liked the opener. It was probably my least entertaining match of the night. Jeremy LaCroix was running away from Yoscifer, as you should. This guy's a big, beefy guy who, with the face paint and the beard he has, you could barely see his face. But he's a power guy. He's a big, beefy guy. He does a lot of the fun, interesting moves. It's really fun and interesting, but Jeremy did a lot of running around. The match took about 5 minutes to start after both guys got to the ring because Jeremy kept running away and trying not to have the fight. Fight Life is not an independent promotion out of Brockton. It is an independent promotion that runs predominantly in the Rhode Island area. So southern New England, almost in the New York, New Jersey area. They are next running in Providence, which will be their first time in Providence, which will be interesting for Mr. JT Dunn. We'll get to him in a bit. Otherwise, this match is good. This match is fun. There's some good comedy sets and sections in here. Roxanne tries to tempt this big Neanderthal of a man, Yoscifer, with a Slim Jim or a meat stick. He throws it down and gets ready to go attack her. But at that point, Jeremy goes ahead and gets the advantage. He gets back in the ring. But not too long after that, Yoscifer has Jeremy in the camel's clutch. Roxanne steals the ring bell and starts ringing it over and over and over again, which is fine. It's a cute thing. But it took so long, like the ref trying to figure out what's going on and is the match over and is it not? Trying to get the match back on track, and then Roxanne just handing Jeremy the bell, although it didn't work out for him because while the ref is trying to take the bell back, Roxanne spears Yoscifer, but he gets right back up, hits a choke slam, and then he goes on the outside of the ring, puts his back to the ropes, flips over the ropes, and splashes on top of Jeremy. Fantastic move. Really interesting, really fun. I've seen people use this to get into the ring where they land on their feet. I've never seen somebody utilize this to splash onto their opponent. But Yoscifer gets the win. Really fun, really interesting finish. I liked it. Post-match, he kidnaps Roxanne Fury. Really interesting to see what happens out of that. But again, 2 matches down. We've had a post-match angle in both of them. Not something you always see on the independent circuit. So good to have it here. We then get one of my favorite matches of the night with 2 of my favorite people in the New England area. Dustin Flash Waller taking on Shannon Relentless LeVangie. This match is spectacular. This match is just incredible. Shannon LeVangie doesn't get the respect that she deserves. 1, because she's so young, and 2, just because of the fact that more often than not, she's not always wrestling the women. She's more often than not wrestling against the men. And she makes these intergender matches just feel like another wrestling match, which is the highest compliment that I think you can give when it comes to a female wrestler wrestling against the men. That you don't look at it as an intergender match between a man and a woman. You just look at it as an incredible wrestling match. It's also amazing for Shannon because Dustin Flash Waller has the name Flash because of how quickly he can work, the speed, the ability, the high flying ability he has. And she meshes with him so well in this match. This is apparently a first time ever match, which is kind of a surprise considering they're both, mainstays in this New England area. But to have this first time ever match was really great. There's a really fun spot in the beginning of the match. Yes, Bobby, Shannon is indeed fantastic. We'll talk about her on Thursday night. I'll get to that in a little bit for everybody who's here in the chat. We'll talk a little bit about what's coming up on Thursday in a bit. So in the beginning of the match, as they're trying to jockey for position and get some things going, Shannon grapevines sort of Flash's legs. And so he has to kind of like hop to the ropes to go ahead and get out of it. They do another sequence and he gets her in a very similar position and she just takes her foot and steps out of it and then bows. It was really fun. It was really interesting. Then this match just kicks into high gear. These 2 are really good. They do a lot of that run against the ropes, kind of rally off of, like bounce off of the other guy and then like change direction. So it's more like L's off the ropes than it is just straight back and forths. But this match kicks up into a gear when Dustin Waller does a springboard from the outside to the top rope. He tries to hit Shannon with something. She ducks it. He manages to move right into a lethal injection, which she also avoids. She gives him a super kick. She then hits the Twisted Trouble, which is basically a twist of fate. Waller kicks out at 2. A couple minutes later, Waller hits his lightning bolt lethal injection for the win. And Dustin Flash Waller gets the better of Shannon LeVangie tonight. This match is sensational. If you don't know who either of these 2 are, 1, you need to watch more New England professional wrestling. And 2, you really need to go ahead and look them up. Dustin Waller is part of the Miracle Generation. They are probably one of the best tag teams on the independent circuit right now, as far as I'm concerned. Sensational match. And again, something different. In the opening match, we had a tag team match with kind of mismatched tag teams with a lot of power in it. In the second match, we just have 2 big guys kind of going at it with a little bit of comedy spots. Here we have 2 speed demons and just technically proficient professional wrestlers having an incredible singles intergender match. We then move on, and again, this is one of the things I love about the independent scene is that you constantly get these cards of diversity, not only in the talent that are in them, but also in the style of matches. Danny Miles is supposed to take on Eric Cha-Cha here in a knockout or submission only match. However, unfortunately, we find out from Danny Miles that Eric Cha-Cha has had a family emergency, but he says he's still here to fight. He's trained for a knockout or a submission fight. So he says that stipulation stays, and anybody in the back who wants to can come on out and take on Danny Miles. Out comes MMA fighter and sparring partner to the Stars. They mentioned a couple of names that he's worked with, and if you've been on his Instagram, you can see that he is a very popular sparring partner for a lot of top-level MMA fighters in the UFC. Bobby Casale comes out here. Bobby Casale apparently won a pre-show battle royal. And this match is sensational. It is blood sport, but with the ropes, is essentially what this is. And this is the perfect kind of match for a guy like Danny Miles. More importantly, this is the perfect style of match to showcase the greatness of Bobby Casale, a very young independent wrestler in his wrestling version. Obviously, he's been wrestling a long time. Being an MMA fighter, you really have that mix. But I love how these two really work well together, and the knockout or submission style really works because it really dives into a different form of professional wrestling that you can do. And again, something different for every card. Yeah, Bobby, I was thinking of you when I watched this, and I was going to give you the login so you could watch this match because I think it's sensational. But the finish comes when Bobby Casale does cheat a bit in something that even isn't allowed in this, which is that he rakes Danny Miles' eyes and then hits him with an absolute gigantic kick that just knocks Danny Miles to the ground, knocks him out. The ref jumps on top of him, calls for the match to be over, and Bobby Casale defeats Danny Miles. The era of violence in Fight Life did not last long as Danny Miles goes down to the young upstart Bobby Casale. Love this. If you haven't checked out Bobby Casale, he's now my one to watch for this show. He's the person on this show that I didn't know a ton about, and I haven't seen a lot. We talked about him during our Create a Pro wrestling show where we talked about Create a Pro. He came out with somebody on that show, but we didn't get to see him wrestle. This was the first time I got to see him wrestle. I like what he has. I think he's got an interesting gimmick, and in this style of match, it's certainly made him look like an incredibly big deal. Love it. Gets the big win. Congratulations, Bobby Casale. Before we move on to our next match, I do want to go ahead and shout out Fight Life and say that if you want to find out more about Fight Life, you can check them out at www.fightlifewrestling.com. On Twitter, you can go ahead and follow them on Twitter at FightLifePW. And of course, you can watch their content on Fight Life Pro Wrestling. If you want their full cards, you're going to need to go on to Triller TV Plus. Does have this, and right now Triller's running a fantastic promo where you can get 1 year for $39. I actually used that to go ahead and sign up for this, to go ahead and get this show, because I want to see more of what Fight Life has to offer. And $39 for a year on a wrestling type platform means we can watch a bunch of different shows. If you're the type that likes GCW, a lot of their shows are on here. If you're the type that wants to buy AEW shows, there's a bunch of AEW stuff on here. Wrestling Revolver, a lot of their content lives on here. There's a bunch of content on there. So if you go to Triller TV Plus, you can go ahead and find that. And make sure you go ahead and check these guys out. Give them a follow on YouTube. Give them a follow on Twitch, on Twitter, to make sure that you go ahead and see what they've got coming up. Our shortest match of the night comes up next as Ariel takes on Dank the Clown. Yes, you heard me right. And a wrestler that would make Bobby one of the happiest men in the world. And Bobby, I think you should book Dank the Clown for PPW, because this is definitely up your alley. Dank the Clown comes from Amsterdam. Yep, I wonder where this gimmick is going. They come from Amsterdam. They weigh in at 420, which is not their weight because they are a thin, frail individual. Taking on Queen Ariel of the Monarchy. Yes, you absolutely get where this gimmick is going. Yeah, which is why it's not the character for me. And I would say that I'd love to see more about their wrestling style and how this person works in the ring. We got about a 2.5 minute match where Dank the Clown taps out to Ariel in a one-legged Boston Crab very, very quickly. I didn't get to see a lot out of Dank the Clown. Dank the Clown does come out in a very Doink the Clown inspired attire, which is interesting, I guess. I couldn't find anything on Dank the Clown other than their Twitter because, unfortunately, every time you try to Google Dank the Clown, it tries to tell you to go to Doink the Clown. So it's hard to find information about them. Oh, don't pit Dank Buds up against the Queen. Nope, they did indeed. They did indeed. Oh, the Queen smokes Dank in this one. Yeah, way too quickly. But you know, Ariel likes a nice, quick, easy, evening. So you know, we'll see Ariel in a bit. But yep, we then get to our final match before our intermission, and it is the first half main event as we have Mortar, who is the Chaotic Wrestling World Heavyweight champion going into their latest show, Breaking Point, which me and Bobby and Papa Smokes will be talking about on Ring Respect Radio this week. So he was the champion going into that. We'll see if he came out as the champion, taking on WWE legend Gangrel. No gods, no kings, only Mortar. Yes. And for the first time, I get to see Mortar work heel, which was interesting. I've never seen Mortar work heel, but it was smart that they both knew that Gangrel was going to be over and that Mortar worked a slightly more heel role. He cheated. He took dirty tactics to get the job done. He stopped Gangrel from fanging and banging by taking the... Gangrel was going to do the cup and then spit it into the air. However, he says, no, stop. We can't do that. We can't do that. Look, this is a brand new ownership of this building, and we don't want to upset them by spitting the red blood onto the white ceiling. So instantly, Mortar is working as a bit of a heel here, stopping and denying the crowd what they want. Yeah, Bobby, it was really strange to see Mortar working as a bit of a heel, working against the crowd, so to speak. However, it worked. Gangrel also, 36 years in the business, bit of an older gentleman. He didn't work a typical Legends pace in this match. It was slower than some of the other things we've seen on this card, but it wasn't significantly slower. Like it wasn't a Goldberg match. It wasn't a Lesnar match. It wasn't any of these like old legend style wrestling matches. He worked at a general pace of a normal wrestling match. Nothing overly great about this match though, unfortunately. Some fun stuff. Gangrel hits Mortar tried to do his bouncing moonsault off the top rope. He misses. Gangrel hits the Impaler DDT, but unfortunately for him, Mortar kicks out at 2. He then goes ahead and rolls to the outside, grabs the blood from the goblet, and spits the blood in Gangrel's eyes. Over the back of the referee, he then goes ahead and hits his lariat clothesline for the victory and goes ahead and gets the big win. Mortar defeats Gangrel in this match. However, post-match, Gangrel gets him back in the ring, goes ahead and spits the blood in his face, and helps him up, shakes his hand to show the respect of the individuals, and the crowd goes home happy, or at least goes to intermission happy. It was a fun time. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, it's 2025 is the year of Mortar. Like, quietly, it's the year of Mortar. Because in Chaotic Wrestling, he took on Ivar of the WWE, current WWE Ivar, at their 25th anniversary show. Then, on top of that, he is the reigning Chaotic World Champion going into Balance of Power from 2 weeks ago. He then wrestled Chase Del Monte at Balance of Power, which is another legend of the New England indie scene, because again, 3-time Chaotic World Champion. The guy who runs Chaotic Wrestling now, he's the owner and the operator of the promotion. So he's having this big year working against these legendary stars, and now working against a guy like Gangrel, who's somebody he would have grown up watching at his age, because, you know, Mortar is a slightly younger individual. So a guy like Gangrel would have been somebody that Mortar grew up watching. So it's really cool to be able to have that going on, and Mortar having a big year for himself. So congratulations to Mortar, getting the win, getting everything over. Yeah, he's had one of the best indie runs of the year easily. And again, it's so funny because you say we talk about how great of a year he's having, but guys like Marcus Mathers, guys like Fancy Ryan Clancy, guys like Bear Bronson are having fantastic years too. Mortar's getting wins over names of guys that we know and we love from the past. He's getting those big wins over legends and getting opportunities against these legends, whereas a guy like Bear Bronson is coming off of a terrible time in AEW and Ring of Honor where he learned a lot, but at the end of the day, it wasn't the success that he was hoping for, and has reinvented himself on the independent scene as a deathmatch guy, as a comedy match guy, working with his wife, having the time of his life, and just being the best of people. So I'm very excited to see the future of Bear Bronson. Today, it was rumored that he's in talks with TNA. And all I can say about that is TNA, sign this man, sign Bear Bronson, because he will make a fantastic addition to any locker room, especially that TNA locker room. When we come back from intermission, we come back to Dezmond Big Boofa Cole. Love me some Big Boofa. I don't get to watch his matches much, but I get to see a lot of clips of him online. And I know that he's a big name in this scene, especially more up in the Limitless Wrestling area, is where he does a lot of the work that I know he does. Taking on number one Ichiban. As Bobby will know, number one Ichiban is fantastic. And again, giving us something slightly different here. This is a more fast-paced Lucha Libre-esque style match. Both of these guys are incredibly over. The crowd loves both of them. The crowd chanting one did indeed confuse commentary a little bit, because, you know, you've got both guys down and the crowd is chanting along with the referee's count, and they're always chanting one, one, one. And it gets a bit confusing, because if you don't keep track of how many ones they're chanting, you don't necessarily know what count you're up to. So, you know, number one Ichiban does create problems in a whole mess of different ways. These guys are incredibly talented. I've now seen Ichiban twice in about 2 weeks span. Ichiban was on the card for the Wrestling Open Rhode Island card that, spoiler alert, the Wrestling Open Rhode Island card that we are covering next week on this show right here. Me and Ash will be covering Wrestling Open Rhode Island from 2 weeks ago, where indeed we had the Women's ID Championship settled after the relinquishment from Kylie Ray. So we got all kinds of good stuff coming up on that show. So we'll talk more about Ichiban there. But I really got to sit back and really enjoy what Dezmond Cole can do. At one point, he did a handstand while in a rest hold. Like, he had like a rear shin lock on and like did a handstand to put extra pressure on it. And that was fantastic, because the amount of balance you have to be able to do to pull something like that off is sensational. Ichiban at one point hit a swinging neck breaker with both of the guys on the top rope. So they were both up top, and he swung them all the way to the ground, but he only got a 2. Cole hit a German suplex as Ichiban was running to the ropes and bounced off the corner turnbuckle into a German suplex. Like, just picture perfect, timing sensational, just bam. Fantastic. Cole went to the top, but Ichiban rolled to the other side of the ring. Dezmond Cole said, "That's fine." And he still hit the splash. Almost the entire ring he cleared to hit that splash, but only got a 2 count. Finally, Ichiban gets up to the top rope, and he hit the same Canadian destroyer that Shannon LeVangie hit earlier in the matches against Dustin Waller to get the win. 1, 2, 3. Number 1 Ichiban is indeed still number 1 tonight as he gets the big win. I like this match. Again, we say it all the time, but if you haven't seen some of these guys, you should. I like Ichiban a lot. The number 1 gimmick, if you like the number 1 thing, like the 10 in NXT with Ty Dillinger, or you can get into the Joe Hendry style stuff, I think Ichiban is your man. If you're looking for something a little bit different, I think Dezmond Cole is somebody that you should be keeping an eye on. I think Dezmond Cole is sensational. Both these guys are great, but I think Dezmond Cole's got a little bit of an interesting act here. The big Boofa thing. He comes out bopping around, really, really enjoying himself. Wrestles in suspenders, it seems. I love this guy. I really enjoyed everything going on here. Throat's getting a bit dry and I forgot my water, but that's all right. We'll just keep moving on. We've only got a couple more matches left before we get to the end of the show. We now have our only singles women's match on the card. We've had women throughout the card with Ariel, with Shannon LeVangie, and we're going to have another woman in our next match. But right here, we get the only single woman versus woman match as the God Queen herself, Delmi Exo, graces us with her presence, taking on Sarah Bully Jade. I didn't know anything about Sarah Bully Jade. I did not. Going into this, I did not. However, it appears that she has a pinfall victory over Li Ying Li, who is the new TNA Women's World Knockout Champion. So congratulations to her winning that title last week, but only airing this week on television. So congratulations to that. But Sarah Jade, I feel like I know her a bit coming out of this because Chris Saunders and Zach Levi did a very good job of telling us about Sarah Jade and about what she is and who she is and all the things that she can do. I really enjoyed that. I felt like I knew her going through this match just by listening to commentary. The match is fairly standard and very so-so. It didn't last very long, maybe 4 to 5 minutes. But again, Delmi Exo goes ahead and gets the win with an incredibly interesting submission. It's like she did a chicken wing and then floated over. So she's on her feet and she's using the chicken wing to push herself up in the air like a Charlotte figure 8, with Sarah Jade's hands locked. I don't know what she calls this submission. I don't know what it is. It's hard to describe, but I can tell you it looks incredibly painful. And not too long after that, relatively quickly after that, Sarah Jade does indeed go ahead and tap out, and we get a win for the God Queen herself, Delmi Exo. She's just fantastic. If you don't know who Delmi Exo is, you clearly haven't watched enough MLW. Go ahead and take a look. She's one of the best women's wrestlers on the scene today. Can't say enough good things about her. I'm really interested in seeing more about Sarah Jade. So I'm going to go ahead and look up a bit more of her matches, see what else she's got going on for work, because she definitely has something. Yes, Delmi is incredibly awesome. She should be signed everywhere. A lot of the talent we cover on these shows are talents that should be signed somewhere. I was just talking about Bear Bronson. Shannon LeVangie, I think, should be signed, if nothing else, to a WWE ID contract. The Miracle Generation should be somewhere. If not AEW or Ring of Honor, then they should absolutely be in TNA. I think they could light up any tag team division. This card is riddled with talented people who could be signed to any brand, especially in our main event, which we'll get to in just a little bit. But before that, we have the most interesting matches on the card. So I say matches because this one match is technically two separate matches. This is the Sole Survivor Series. So there are 6 individuals who are named for this contest. Seabass Finn, Sammy Diaz, Sammy Chaos, Kylon King, and Trigga the OG. And of course, the King of New England, BMT, with Ariel. Because the king goes nowhere without his queen. So the way this breaks down is they're going to have 2 teams that were randomly selected in the back, and they're going to have a 6-person tag. The winning team of the 6-person tag match will then continue wrestling, but now in a triple threat elimination match. All of this, you say, well, what is all this for? Why are we doing all of this? Well, because this is getting something called the Call Your Shot contract. And if you're familiar with TNA, you kind of know about this. But what it is you can have any match, not necessarily a championship match, but you can cash this in for anything. One of the people on who have previously won this cashed it in for a match against Speedball Mike Bailey because they just wanted to wrestle Speedball Mike Bailey and they didn't necessarily want to wrestle for a championship. In our main event, somebody would be cashing in their Call Your Shot contest to create our main event at the end of this show. This is fantastic. The 2 teams ended up being Finn, Diaz, and BMT taking on Chaos King and Trigga the OG. Sammy Chaos is a big ol' ass, and she was one of my favorites in this match because I'd seen her a little bit in BST Wrestling, Blood, Sweat, and Tears Wrestling out of New Jersey. I saw her this past week or so on one of their shows and was intrigued and wanted to see more. And I got to see her with a ton of talent that I know here. I know Seabass Finn very well. I know BMT a bit too well. I love Kylon King. I think he is sensational. And Trigga the OG is indeed the OG. The match was sensational. I really like this. And again, I like the implementation of the 2 types of matches to be able to break this down so that you're working together and then only working together long enough to get a win so that you can then work against each other to go ahead and get another win. But this match is a bit clusterfucky, as any 6-person tag tends to be. At the end of the day, you all start taking finisher after finisher after finisher. And at some point, somebody's left standing. And in this case, we had Seabass Finn cheating to win by rolling up Kylon King and putting his feet on the second rope to get the win for his team. So that means moving on was Seabass Finn, Sammy Diaz, and the King of New England, unfortunately, BMT. This triple threat match, however, is not a clusterfuck. It is sensational. It starts out right from the get-go as Sammy and Finn try to write off BMT right out of the gate by going ahead and double super kicking him. But Ariel continued to be a thorn in these guys' side and got involved over and over and over again because in a triple threat match, there are no disqualifications. So she was able to do everything she wanted to do. At the end of the day, though, Seabass Finn tries to do a sunset flip onto over Sammy Diaz to go ahead and pin him, but Sammy Diaz falls to his feet, hooks the legs, leans forward and grabs the rope, and he cheats to win to eliminate Seabass Finn. What's good for the goose is apparently also good for the gander, which leaves BMT versus Sammy Diaz. And Sammy Diaz is a bit of a belt collector up here. He's trying to collect as many championships as he can. I believe he's at 4 or 5 championships currently. He's not Mercedes Moné level of championship, which is good because nobody should hold 13 championships because you should be out there defending these championships and not just winning them. And this goes into a fantastic segment. This match just back and forth, back and forth. Diaz hits BMT with all his big moves, but somehow BMT keeps kicking out. BMT then pushes Sammy Diaz into Ref Gina, but Diaz stops himself before he does. But BMT rolls him up, pulls the tights, 1, 2, 3. And unfortunately, the King and Queen of New England now hold the call your shot contract. At any time, they can call their shot to get any match that BMT wants. Whether it be a Fight Life World Championship match, whether it be a tag team match, whether he just wants to eliminate the unit because they can't stand the unit in storyline. All of those things are up in the air for BMT right now, as he is the Fight Life call your shot for winner. So congratulations to BMT on the big win. I wonder if we'll see him later on, because we are now to our main event of the evening in a match that was created by JT Dunn using his call your shot contract to challenge for the Fight Life World Championship against Richard Holliday. Yes, the man with the signature move himself, taking on JT Dunn. Richard Holliday has held that championship for 497 days going into this match. However, there's a bit of a stipulation on this one, because he continues to use the title belt and the signature move to sneak his way out of these championship matches. And the booking committee is unhappy with that and says, Richard, here's how this one goes. If you're caught using your signature move, using the title belt, or any other form of chicanery, and you get disqualified, you're going to be stripped of the Fight Life World Championship as well. No champion's advantage in this. It's a battle to the death. One of them will gain the championship. The other will have an unfortunate night. This is a match that really could be on any weekly television program. JT Dunn and Richard Holliday are about as good as it gets on the indies. They've been doing it for years upon years upon years. They know exactly how to play to the crowd, do all the things they need to do, and have a fantastic wrestling match. And this is like exactly what you'd expect from them. Richard Holliday focusing on a body part. In this case, it's both the shoulder and the elbow, because he knows that JT Dunn's finisher is that death by elbow, and he wants nothing to do with death by elbow. So he's trying to stop JT Dunn by doing that. At one point towards this match, Holliday crushes Tony P in the corner, and JT Dunn hits El Dirte, and he gets the pin. The crowd chants 1, 2, 3. They get all the way to 6 or 7 before we realize that the referee is down and Tony P is not able to make the count. So JT gets up and he tries to revive him. But unfortunately, this is where Richard Holliday, with the referee down, hits his signature move. He then hits the 2008 and tries to go for the pin. But unfortunately for him, the referee is still down. But Ref Gina comes to the ring to try to make the count. She gets a 1, she gets a 2, but unfortunately, JT Dunn kicks out. So unfortunately for Richard Holliday, the match continues. Well, Holliday doesn't like this, and he takes Ref Gina and he pushes her down and throws her out of the ring. Very, very rude of Richard Holliday to throw a woman down like that. But Richard Holliday wants to win this match. But at this point, JT Dunn goes ahead and hits the signature move. But he only gets a 2 count as Tony P gets back up and whatnot. We then get a little bit back and forth again. JT Dunn finally gets to hit his death by elbow. And he gets the 1, 2, 3, and new Fight Life World Champion JT Dunn. The pride of Providence, Rhode Island, is now the Fight Life World Champion. He cuts an emotional promo after the fact, talking about how he's been with this promotion since the first day that it started. He loves things here, and he wanted to take this back, not for himself, not to win a championship for him, to show his son what it is to be a champion, but no, he wanted to do this for the people, to take this title away from Richard Holliday and give it back to the people, to be a fighting champion the way they deserve, with matches they deserve. But out comes that dastardly BMT. and he confronts JT Dunn, but he says, nope, no, this is your moment. You keep your moment. And the moment JT Dunn turns his back, BMT attacks. He beats him down, and he tells the referee that he wants to cash in his call your shot gauntlet, call your shot contract. But before the match can be officially started, out comes the unit. Danny Miles, Trigga the OG, and AJP all run out to make the save. And apparently here in Fight Life, AJP is a member of the unit. BMT gets run off, so he doesn't get to cash it in, but he's still there looming. He apparently still has that contract whenever he wants it. So only time will tell. But JT Dunn ends the show as the pro wrestling savior and indeed the new Fight Life World Champion. This was a fantastic show. I really enjoyed this. Just under a 3-hour show. It's Fight to watch. And again, Triller TV if you want to watch the show for yourself. More importantly, if you want to find Fight Life, they got all their stuff right up here. FightLifeWrestling.com. Fight Life Pro PW on Twitter. And of course, Fight Life Pro Wrestling on YouTube. Go ahead and check out all of their great YouTube content where they have older matches up there ready for you. And again, like I said, we are going to be headed to Rhode Island one more time next week as we're going to go ahead and cover something I was at live, the WWE ID Showcase, where we're going to crown the new WWE ID Women's Champion. You say, well, Ed, we already know who that is. It's Lady Luck. Yes, we do unfortunately know who the winner is. We talked about that on last week's show. But we're going to go ahead and cover that because Ashton and I want a little bit of an easier show with this holiday weekend to spend time with our families, so not to spend so much time watching professional wrestling. We're going to go ahead and just have a bit of a quicker show. This show will have about 5 matches on it. It'll have a 6-way one fall match to put somebody into the main event. It'll then have the 6-woman elimination match. It'll also have the Shooter Boys taking on Starstruck. And it'll also have Sammy Diaz taking on another individual. I forget who it was that he took on for that show. But yes, there's going to be a fun show to watch. I'm very excited for it. And some of the names that you heard tonight are going to be back on that show again. So we're definitely going to be going ahead. Ed's going to leave now. I mean, Ed's getting ready to head on out of here. Thanksgiving food. The menu for Thanksgiving this year is, again, a little bit like last year. I'm going to be a little bit low-key on the food to try to help continue with the weight loss. But the full menu available for everybody at the Ol'Ed household is indeed going to be a 16-pound turkey. Stuffing. It is going to be cranberry sauce, but in the jellied form. The only good form of cranberry sauce. You got to have the jellied. You don't have whole cranberries. That's for wackadoos and psychos. So you have the jellied cranberry sauce. The epitome of fantastic cranberry sauce. We're also going to have some carrots. We're also going to have some King's Hawaiian rolls. We're also going to have, we got some gravy, obviously, mashed potatoes. You know, it's a typical American Thanksgiving feast. Nothing too out of the ordinary, relatively basic. I mean, to say I ever had credibility, yeah, Eggs Benedict is a terrible food. It just is. It just is. Like, Eggs Benedict is a horrible food. You take eggs and you ruin it with a mayo-type sauce. It's just awful. And more importantly, you're not even cooking the egg properly. You're boiling it in water. Like, what the fuck is this bullshit? No, Egg Benedict is a horrible, horrible breakfast food. Mayo-type sauce, there's no mayo in it. Yes, but it's an aioli. It's an aioli, and it's essentially a mayo without mayo. Like, come on, SGG. Get your food knowledge on here, man. I know she's not here, but you can go ahead and follow Asher. All the wonderful links down here. Asher Bizarro on Twitter and Asher Bizarro20 on Instagram. You can follow her on YouTube at youtube.com/Asher Bizarro. If you're watching this on her channel, please go ahead and make sure you leave a like. Go ahead and subscribe to her. She's on the road to 400 subscribers on YouTube. She would greatly appreciate it, and we appreciate Asher. She is fantastic. You can, of course, catch me at all these places on the interwebs, but more importantly, this Thursday night, you can catch me along with Papa Smokes, the voice of Ring Respect Radio, Papa Smokes, and Bobby Munson too, because unfortunately he has to be there. And we're going to be talking all about chaotic wrestling and Breaking Point. And of course, you can follow our local establishment, all the places down here. But again, it's been at the bottom of the screen the entire show. Right into my beautiful face, you can see us at Ol'Ed Podcasts on Twitter. And of course, you can find us at our local establishment on YouTube. We're pushing the YouTube right now because we are now under 100 watch hours away from getting our first level of monetization. So if you could please give this video a like if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead and give us a subscribe. Even if you can, especially with the holiday weekend coming up, throw us on in the background and just leave us on mute and just let the videos roll. Play the Taking Over playlist. Play the Marvel Talk playlist in the background and go ahead and just let it roll. Marvel Talk will be back within the next, I'm going to probably say the next few weeks, as we're going to go ahead and get ready for the new year. We're going to do a look into the future. We're going to go ahead and do our top 10 show that we were hoping to do for November, but we never got around to doing it. And we're going to hopefully get to some MCU rebounds again in the near future as well. We got all kinds of great content coming up there. And of course, we've got all the Noah content coming from Miss Melball Collins. And of course, Ring Respect Radio and Point of View with Bobby Munson, Andre C. All kinds of great content. And of course, so I want to thank you all for joining us. Let's check the chat one more time. Yes, which is why it's like a mayo type sauce, because mayo is essentially an egg-based oil sauce. An aioli and a mayo are essentially very close to being the same thing. Happy holidays to you. I'm off as well. Dale, well, enjoy your Thursday full of football. Hopefully I get some more picks right as I caught up to Andre a little bit. But Bobby Munson overtook both Andre and myself. So unfortunately, Munson's out a little bit to the lead right now. I don't like that, but we're catching up, and that's all that. That's fantastic. Noah Unleashed was unfortunately an hour, just saying. Never a bad thing when it's an hour long. You go ahead and get more Melball Collins on our TV screen. Talking about Hank and Tank. I mean, thank God she has to talk about him. I don't have to talk about him anymore. I also want to throw that, since I am the hater that I am, we did have the Iron Survivor names drawn tonight from Mr. John Felix Anthony Cena. And of course, I want to say I love the men's match. I think it's sensational. We got Readerman in there. We got Joe Hendry in there. We got Leon Slater, Javon Evans, and Miles Bourne. It's a fantastic lineup. And you want to know why? Because there's no Ethan Page. That's why that's a fantastic Iron Survivor lineup. Because there's no Ethan Page. Fuck Ethan Page, man. Sick of seeing that guy hanging around, especially since Astrid, such a big fan of him. Again, congratulations to all the new champions on NXT. And again, like I said, me and Ash will be back next week for another edition of Taking Over. It'll be another short episode because while we'll both be here, it's going to be a 5-match card, so it won't be the greatest show. I mean, the greatest Canadian of all time is certainly not Ethan Page. I mean, there are countless better Canadians than him. Shania Twain, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Jinder Mahal. Like, the list of great Canadians that are better than Ethan Page can just go on for days. Like, it's a long, long list. So, no, not jealous of the greatest Canadian of all time. Thank you all for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. We will see you next time. Goodbye.
I am in misery.